everyone. Good morning, Philippines. Good morning over there. My name is Merly Balan. I am co-hosting our program tonight, The Women's World, from the comfort of my home. I hope you are all well and healthy. And I'd like to welcome you all. Thank you. We have many friends staying up late from Austria, from Italy. It's like 2 a.m. there. In Philippines, it's daytime. From Korea and Japan. So thank you all of you for coming. I'd like to introduce my co-host for our program, Miss Marivir. Marivir, where are you? Marivir is a journalist, a friend of mine, Marivir Montebon. She'll be hosting from Manhattan, New York. Hello, Marivir.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Twin. Hi, Merly. At last, we have this show running. Thank God. And so I'd like to welcome our viewers from all over the world. My name is Marivir, and I am a journalist based in New York City. And I set up an online magazine in 2012, which I call Awesome Online Magazine. It's for awesome people all over the world that I feature and I talk about so that they would be inspired by the people would be inspired by their actions or achievements. So I'm happy that we are here in Women's World and talking about things that matter to us, innovative things, and things that would help women. So without further ado, I would like to introduce another co-host of ours because there are three of us. I'd like to introduce Dr. Arceli Hernando.
Hello, good day from the beautiful land of Bohol, from the land of the chocolate hills. Here is your friend, Arceli Hernando of Bohol Island State University. It's been 71 days that we are locked and that it has changed our lives a lot. Actually, Merly and Marivir, we are type of women who used to soak our lives with meetings and doing office works, community works. Seldom do we stay at home. We are mothers who vowed to live for the sake of others. Thus, we check on each other on how life has changed, how we cope, and wondering how we can still be of help of others. Thus, this program, The Women's World, Live, Love, and Connect. So I am introducing to you our co-host from New Jersey. We have Miss Merly Barlaan. She is the International Vice President of the Women's Federation for World Peace Asia.
Yay!
Thank you, Arceli. Hello, everyone. Oh, I would like to recognize my friends. We have here such great, noble women around here. I see Flora Blasivano from Italy. Hello, Flora. And the Federation President in Padua, Italy. Hello. And we have my Vice President, IVP for Oceania, Anne Belevans. I see you're here. Thank you,
nice.
Anne. Hello. And I'm sure there are more women out there. I just can't see your faces, but later we're gonna show your faces later. I want to introduce to you the background of this cool, really nice project, Women's World. It is. It came from a personal experience of mine because someone told me that only the COVID could stop me from flying and going around the world and stay home. And I think that was Marivir who told me that. This kind of problem that we have right now, it really posed a lot of new challenges. It's in my part as well. For example, being a teacher, like the one who needed to deliver like the formal education because the kids are locked down and my kids, I have to really learn how to teach them and from home. I love cooking, I love being with my kids, but the part that's really challenging me is the homework part. It's always like a struggle. But I think of other women as well who are not equipped, and who are shocked by these challenges. And how can we be happy and peaceful and productive even when the world around us is closing in? For example, the government, the community around us, our homes are being kind of boxed in because of the virus. But then, we cannot really just stay like this and be miserable. So I was thinking that maybe if the world's women out there, we can put together all our efforts and share together our secrets and how do we cope with everything that is happening around us, and share our little secrets, how to be happy, like maintain our sanity. And we are the ones that I feel like we're lucky enough. But what about out there? So many women are they have to struggle with how to get their food for the day, and then they have to struggle how to deal with their children and their spouses. It's psychological, economic, social, mental, spiritual, and we cannot do this by ourselves. So I think that if we all collectively share our hearts out as if we are, like the world's sisters. The men type of leadership usually, they kind of, as we see our world now, they close the countries and blaming the blame game. But if we go the other way of, building a world where women can connect and can live for the sake of each other and love and build a compassionate world, lifting up those who are really suffering, then I think we can make a really big difference. So tonight we want to share our stories. Marivir, as a journalist, she graduated yesterday, and from the comfort of her own room, she's gonna share
right here
that experience with us. And then Arceli, as the dean, the director of student affairs, taking care of 20,000 college students in Bohol Island State University. And we also have a guest, a guidance counselor of the university, who's dealing with mental health issues, suicidal, not just young people, but she told me suicide, a lot more people this time in Bohol alone are killed by suicide and not by COVID. So this is something that we can pay attention to. So without further ado, let's hear from Marivir and share her experience with us. Thank you.
Oh, my experience. Yesterday I graduated, and so it was surreal and it was sad, a little bit sad, because although it's a milestone, because I finished my master's degree in religious studies, it was done. The ceremony was done in my bedroom, and along with the other graduates. And no, it was like strange because graduations are happy occasions. So families come and you walk the aisle and get your diploma, and all your classmates cheer for you. But now it's not the case. Like, we were all told to mute your mic, then unmute your mic and clap for each other. So it's a weird situation. Although you still feel grateful. I was very grateful that I reached that achievement. It's strange. So it's like funny, like at this age, I graduated a very strange era. Still, it's a matter of attitude that when you get grateful, you become grateful. And you look forward to how things are going to be after, if the lockdown is going to end soon, and if it's going to be so easy for us, or when we go back to being better. So that's my take about this situation right now. And I right now, Merle and Arceli, I am very. The lockdown has made me um, more of an OC. Like you have to be very clean, wash your hands every time. I wash the groceries that I buy. I was like, I never did this before, but you know, when you think and your enemy is invisible, you don't take chances. So you keep clean all the time, and I spray disinfectant on my shoes, leave my shoes outside, things like that. All the things that the CDC is doing or telling us to do, I have been like really religiously doing it, following it. So that's my life so far with this lockdown. And already not seeing people. I mean, just looking at talking on the phone or doing Zoom. It's also a new technology that everybody has to be attuned with or familiar with, because it's the only way we can connect. So it's a new era, and I think it's basically your attitude will prevail regardless of the challenges. The attitude of open-mindedness, of learning something new and finding what joy there could be from being locked down. Like I did a lot of shows already. I sang, we did the karaoke and all that. So be it. And so, how about you, Arceli? How are you coping with the lockdown?
Yeah, good day. And I'm more touched with what you mentioned earlier, that you are already singing. So maybe one of our sessions here, you will be made to sing.
Oh my God. That's fine.
Congratulations, Miss Uber. So though that was strange, but however, that was great. So congratulations.
Thank
Now,
you.
when the lockdown was declared, I've got lots of, I was anxious at first. Would it ban me from getting out of the room? I'm not that type of person who used to go to stay home. I'm the person who used to get out and be of help to others. But however, when the lockdown was declared, I started to tell myself, is this the rest that I am looking for? Is this the reward that I would have wanted to have for my whole life? Because I have been soaked to so many works, like even Sundays. But then, however, when the days of the, lockdown was a bit longer, I started to feel bored. And then I told myself, this is not the kind of life God would like me to have. So I started to jot down the things that I need to do for the day. So I have to list them down, and at the end of the day, I have to check it out and see to it that things are being done. So in the morning, I made a promise that I have to read my Bible, and the same thing, I am going to have it in the evening before I close the day. And that after, I am cooking, I have lots of experiments. I made YouTube video, whatever is in the kitchen. It's a kind of weird thing because they are not used to it, like what I am cooking. But this is really very gratifying to come up with some recipes. And while I'm doing something in the kitchen, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yeah, I have to go to my garden. I've got Yaya for 6 years, and that after 6 years, he left us, and then it's been 7 years that we do not have a Yaya. And that, time also, I have not visited the plants that she left us. Now, my plants are happy. I need to repot them. I'm talking to them, but don't worry, I have not heard them talking back to me yet. Then I'm also doing some recording. Like I need to have some songs and do the keyboard. And then I find myself, looking into my records if I'm doing well with the singing. Maybe one day I can show it to you if you want. Then I'm reading books, and most of the time I am listening to inspirational videos. So I'm really listening to them, and I got a lot of things from the speeches of these people who are talking in the videos over the Facebook and YouTube. They're really helping me to live sane in this time when this is really a different world for me, totally closed. And I'm very glad that Bohol now is an GCQ, or the General Community Quarantine, when we can already get out. And in fact, I am now airing via my office where the signal is a bit better. So thank you so much for being with us. And this time, I have with me our guidance counselor, the person of Miss Dina Golosino. She is a registered guidance counselor. She used to work with the University of the Philippines before coming to Bohol Island State University. She is an active advocate of mental health, and she is working with Pagkabuhi. And she is going to explain further on the things that they are doing, like what Miss Merle had mentioned earlier. So she's just going to replace me on the screen because she just attended an emergency and that she failed to have her own account now. So I think she is already very much ready. So please help me welcome Mrs. Maria Dina Golosino.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello, Dina.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Dina. Thank you for coming over and sharing with us your expertise. No, it's all right. You're on time. Perfect. You're on time. So we were talking about how women are coping with this new situation of a lockdown, especially moms who are trying to balance things as a mother, taking care of children, and making sure that they're doing their homework. You know, it's tough when they're at home and they could feel so lazy and not go to the computer. They would rather play or watch TV or play games. So these are the challenges of parenting in this situation, and it's been dragged on for several months already. And on top of that, like working women who are so used in using their the cerebral part of their bodies, the brain, could be bored that they have to be domesticated and challenged so that they are able to reach out to their colleagues through Zoom, through this technology that we have. In fact, before this show, we were practicing because this is also an entirely new challenge for every one of us, Merle, myself, and Arceli. And I understand that you have very interesting studies to share and analysis to provide on how women cope in situations like this, which is new to everyone. So we'd like to hear it from you, Dina.
Okay, let me present first myself before I introduce to you some important skills, because I was asked to also introduce some skills in order to really improve the coping skills of the men and women, especially young individuals this time.
Yes.
Okay, I am very much engaged with this mental health advocacy. But before that, I am a stepmother. This is the most toughest, role. I am a wife. I am a stepmother. I'm having a grandson, the grandson of my husband, and it's really premature. We really have to take care, and it's really, really tough. So I'm adjusting all this, especially in this lockdown. I have a different situations because I'm helping people to cope up. At the same time, I have to cope up myself to balance my 3 domains, the cognitive, affective, and my kinesthetic, psychomotor. All those 3, I have to really be mindful of all this in order to be, to balance and to be more mature in handling that. When the lockdown was announced, I was really, it was really unexpected to me because I was quarantined because my husband traveled to a certain place where there was this COVID, the very first victim of the COVID, somewhere in Negros. So I was forced to stay for 14 days without preparation, leaving my work and all those people. So I said to myself, oh my God, how can I do this? I did not give any instruction to all the teachers what to do on all this, and I am in charge of the admission. So they were lost, and also myself. And then they're also afraid because they also had an exposure with me. So all this anxiety, all this, I am not exempted. At the same time, people keep on calling me just to check if I am okay because they were exposed with me during the few days with them. So these are the really difficult situation I have to handle. So day by day. Thanks be to God, I survived the 14 days without contacting any somebody, only by we call it telebehavioral health. This is what we call this time. I am not exempted all these negative emotions, and how I regulate all these emotions, it was really challenging. And thanks be to God, I survived, and I share that to them. And it's a really good resources to really share, also listen to all those. So this time, every day I have callers because I am a volunteer of the Pagpakabuhi. Pagpakabuhi is a Cebuano term, acronym of the term paghatag o pagtagad sa kabililhon sa kinabuhi. Meaning in English, to give attention and importance to the value of life. And that's the whole term pagpakabuhi. There is life, there is value, there's value, and then on the whole thing. So they give me all these clients who are victims of completed suicide, the family. Within this, since November 2019, after this time, I already handled 5 families and classes of this completed suicide. And it's really unique and difficult. Just last week, I handled the suicide postvention because of the completed suicide. And it's almost whole day or half day. It depends with the situation. And given the chance, my husband went with me. He drove with me, and he attended the whole process of healing the trauma, the post-PTSD. And he said, the whole session of 4 hours, I cried. And then I could see his eyes. So, and he said, is that the kind of work you're doing? And it's really, really difficult. Yes, and I said, I thank God for the guidance and for the strength. And I thank God for the passion, because I am also a victim of completed suicide. My eldest sister also had a completed suicide. And I said, it's an incurable pain. And this is the kind of passion that I embrace, because I know and understand how it feels when you experience such kind of reality. So almost every day I have callers, sometimes through phone, sometimes through chat. And this is what we call as professionals this time, the new normal, telebehavioral health, meaning distance counseling. So I do a lot of distance counseling, and we call it technically telebehavioral health. So this is a new normal, and we have to cope up with gadgets, with technology, and the skills. So I studied the whole month of April how to do that. So I am affiliated now with American Counseling Association. So I studied finished the 15 sessions the whole month, just to study how to cope up the new normal. So now I am going to introduce a bit how to cope up with this pandemic as a woman, as a mother like me, and also young individuals. First is you have to be aware your own emotions. Accept the emotions as it is, because emotions neither wrong or correct. It's neither wrong or correct. You have to accept it. Recognize the emotions, especially the negative, and also, of course, the positive. And then learn to honestly and sincerely recognize and communicate. And then you have to build up support group, whether your husband, whether your sisters, your family, or your friends. You really have to have support group so that you will be able to express all those what is within you, so that after the expression, while you are expressing yourself, you can hear yourself, and then somehow the wired brain that you have will have a slowly reframing of your cognitive process, because it's really necessary to really express yourself. Again, there is no substitution, any supplement when it comes to expression. So that's why not only yourself you have to deal with, relate with, but you have to relate with others, because it's a demand for this new normal. Whether you do it in telebehavioral or whether you do it face-to-face with your family, never allow a day to pass without communicating yourself. And then, of course, take turn also to listen, because life is always a balance, give and take. So that's not number one, coping. Recognition of emotion, regulating emotion through communication, honest and sincere communication. Then, of course, discover some hobby. I heard from Araceli that she discovers like improve her cooking ability, the skills, develop the skills, and accept a good hobbies rather, like gardening, cooking. And then you really have to set your goal every day. Again, you really have to set your goals every day, because if you don't have your goal, you just operate your impulse, you will be carried by emotions, and you will have difficulty in regulating emotions. So therefore, your cognition process, your affective, and including your psychomotor, these three important domains of our development as human person, we have to operate every day, allow it to operate rather than just sleeping, eating, and etc. Because you don't feel confident if you are not productive. Again, you are confident yourself if you are productive. Not only direct the productivity direct to yourself, but also altruism, meaning for others. So maybe that's how I survive, because my role is so tough and I embrace it. I thank God for the strength, and most of all, always design a proper time to anchor in prayer, because spirituality is our relationship with our God. Again, the very heart of our spirituality is our relationship with our God. And the product of it is to develop also a relationship with others, because we have a positive relationship with our faith. And that will help to anchor my existence and my productivity, not only to myself, but also with others, and much more. I cannot sleep, I cannot work without reading my Bible. It seems it's part of my garment. I feel incomplete when I start my day without reading the gospel or the readings of the day. And then after that, this would guide my whole day, even if I have very negative emotions. But my reflection will always guide me to move on, because my emotion will not rule my being. Meaning, my emotions is just part of me, but rather the whole of me is just a total parts of the others, the self, and me. So that's the whole dynamic, how I operated in this lockdown with the different roles I embraced. Sorry.
Oh no, thank you so much, Dr. Miss Dina, for that very informative, substantial input. It's helpful. And I have a question, and all the others can also ask from here on. My question is, how do you help somebody whose suicidal tendencies are chemically induced, or like, they have some brain malfunctions? Isn't that more challenging Can strong faith help? Or what? How do psychologists deal with cases like this?
We deal interdisciplinary.
Mhm.
They work interdisciplinary. For example, some situations, if I sense, because I cannot assess, it's not part of my license. So therefore, I have to refer. If I could see some symptoms, I could
Okay.
detect some symptoms, I will not articulate because it's not my role to say you have this type of disorder. No, 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 because
Oh, okay.
it's unethical for us as counselor, licensed counselor, professional counselor.
All right.
If I detect something kind of clinical somehow symptoms like
Uh-huh.
clinical depression, because there are many
Yeah.
types of depressions,
Right.
I
Right.
have to refer. What I did here in Bohol, I tried to establish some linkages. I tried to use my charm in order to link someone who can help in a
Charm works.
Yes, I really tried. I really have. Maybe it's a grace that I have a charm. So I can refer, especially when I classify if it is below poverty line, then I can refer to public psychiatrist or public
Okay.
psychologist. And then I already have good relationship with them. Immediately deprioritize, especially if it is really emergency. Like there was this guy who had an episode and it's very clinical already, I know. So I tried really to help and really to control because it's inside the campus. And he was really somewhat like, oh, it's really, really difficult to deal because everybody was really afraid of him. So I locked him inside my office between the guy and me and tried really to use all the ability and techniques and most of all my prayer. So good I survived because the guy is really supreme. Then after that, I referred the mother, I educate the mother. I really have to really educate the parents because the mother has really a difficult experience. And the mother has a very low self-esteem. We try to educate, learning how to do it, what happened, and what the causes of all this. So after that, I referred to the psychiatrist. Good. Bohol is so sad because we have a brain drain, meaning our professionals are very, very, very few. We only have two psychiatrists present. Actually, only two. And they declared three, but it's not true, only two. And then we only have one clinical psychologist to assess, and expensive. So all this, I have to refer and befriend and good. And then when it comes to decision making to allow the guy to go back to study, we really have to do it multi-sectoral. There is my role as a counselor, the teacher, the administration, and the psychiatrist. We have to talk to the mother because each one has a responsibility. Because I believe to raise a child, it takes a whole village. So each one has a role, not only me. So I really have to educate that we have our own responsibility. I entered to the classroom because he was also a victim of bullying. I introduced to them the effect of bullying, and somehow they realized and they handle it carefully, including the teacher. So and all this. So meaning education is really important on my part, psychoeducation. And then I tried my best that it will be handled multidisciplinary, and I have to deal with the linkages because I cannot monopolize the skills and ability. I am limited, so I need others.
Thank you so much. I'd like to ask our audience, our guests here, maybe they have questions, or maybe Merle and Arceli would have questions for Dina.
I have a just quick question. You mentioned earlier in our conversation that the demographic of the suicide cases, they cut across ages from a very young person to old people. Have you identified the common root cause of the suicide attempts, or this depression?
Okay. Honestly and sad reality, the root cause is really poverty. Because lately, the one who had that completed suicide, she wasn't able to pay the tuition fee. So that's the reason she wasn't enrolled. And then her goal really to graduate that time that she targeted But since the
Okay.
family cannot provide the amount that she needed to enroll, and it leads to deep sadness, depression, and then after the depression, that moment, the decision to kill herself is the only solution. With all the frustration and sadness and deep sadness, I believe it was not her intention to kill herself, but that moment, that was the only solution, because she could no longer bear the deep emotions and the pain and etc. It wasn't handled well because she did not express herself, because she does not want to be a burden. That's the nature of the depressive mood. You don't want to be a burden to others. You keep it to yourself. And your face, external face, you just smile. But deep inside, there is a deep cry of help and a shout of help. And that's the very image of depression.
Oh my.
Is there anyone
So-
from the audience
Oh yeah.
who want to?
I have a follow-up question, Merl.
Okay. Sure.
Is like, can somebody's strong belief in God, whoever
Yes.
that God may be, whether it's the Muslim God or the Jewish God or our Jesus Christ God,
Yes, yes.
does that help does that help someone that he or she may not be able to even think of suicide despite the problems?
I'm sorry to jump into that kind of idea. If the person does not have the concept of God yet, it's
Yes.
difficult to introduce, because the person, the more she or he feels guilty about it. Because he cannot immediately feel, because the faith is gradual developmental of faith is necessary. But
Right.
there is a great God, I believe. But if immediately you introduce the idea of God, but the person
The person will reject it.
it's not there yet, the more the person feels guilty about, because why am I not like that? I believe in God. No. If the person would say, there's this processing question.
Yeah.
What will you survive? If I ask the question along the way, I won't immediately ask that type of questions in terms of proper responding. If I could sense I'm ready to ask the question, what made you survive? If I could not sense that there's no God yet, I cannot force the issue.
Right.
So I have to deal where the person is. I cannot impose my morals. I cannot impose my faith. I'm there to give my unconditional listening, because the person is above all. More than the father.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Dina. Okay, how about our guests? Maybe they have questions. That's a very insightful and deep information. Thank you very much. It's tough to deal with people with these kinds of challenges, right? Depression and all that. It's hard. Like, compassion must be must be all out, right?
I'm already experiencing compassion fatigue. My husband noticed.
Oh, you are.
I'm so irritable. Yes, I'm good. I have a God. God is so good. He's giving a husband.
So how do you desensitize at the end of the day?
I do a lot of meditation.
Okay.
Do a lot of mindfulness. And then maybe my cognition process works a lot, rationalization. But sometimes, honestly, there's a break between my affective and cognition, because there's a goal to catch up. Somebody is really needing, but my emotion is so deep because I'm angry with my stepdaughter because does not know how to take care with my grandson. Like coming here, there was a visitor, and then I'm also taking care with my stepdaughter. Now, please have it with soft rice. Have it. I said, I make a pause. Second dinner, remind myself it's okay, and then one at a time. Yes, one at a time. And I rush and I run and I said to my husband, I hate when I am late because I'm used to be a punctual person, but there is a responsibility I have to face with. And I say, hi Mom, I'm so sorry because I have really an emergency and I have to attend to, because that's my primary role.
All right. Is there a question? Thank you very much, Dina. Is Esther ready with the question?
I would like
Or
Arceli
Irma?
to hi.
Do you understand? I'm sorry, I talk so
No,
fast.
we understand.
It's very
powerful.
good.
Esther has question.
Yes, first of all, I'm Esther Ferruelo Platzer from Austria, and I have some question. Because
Yes.
I'm working right now where we have a little bit problem. So I'm working as stewardess in a rail jet. And
Ooh, wow.
since January, alone in January, we have like, I think 4 or 5 times it happens that there were like suicide, jumping in the train. And we're like, it's a rail jet. So
Yes.
I was always wondering what, because it's only us at first who will learn the incident. And then we have to tell the passengers that it's nothing wrong because then later on they will know anyway. But then in
Yes.
the beginning, we have to say that it's a technical problem. And I was wondering how come these people are doing this, and most of them actually are alone or young people. Example, there was a young guy. It was like, I think 21 years old, very young. And then he just jumped in there in the train. And I think it was just my thinking, because most of them I think are like alone in the house, no families, or even they have a families, but they have like they have problems that they cannot cope up. And I think it's not only here in Europe. I mean, also I think, I don't know if in the Philippines also there are a lot of suicide like this in the train station, or jumping, or in the street to kill themselves. So what is actually triggers them? I know there are some with the drugs and stuff and other problems, but in your observation as a psychiatrist, what is really the main factor that triggers this kind of killing themselves or suicide?
Ma'am, there are a lot. There are a lot of factors. Number one is our brain is wired, and we're really, really unique. And then this is what we call the neuroscience. If our experience is not that really good, our significant experience is really not really good, it registers like we are a central processing unit, like in a computer. Everything we experience will be recorded in the whole of our system of our body, starting from our brain, our emotions, and whole of our being. That's part of our fiber already, those experience. Now, if you don't seek for help and you just keep it yourself and suppress all this, especially the trauma that you experience when you are still a child, remember the forming of personality is 0 to 7 years old. And you are totally dependent to the significant others. Now, if you have that trauma, that are so many trauma in life that are not processed, and you don't experience help after all, will always subvert, or the effect on it, long effect, will be during adult time. When you are already adult and you don't really try to be aware what happened to you, then you will always be a victim with depression and all kinds of mental health conditions. That's one factor. The neuroscience, because our brain is wired. And then second factor is that we have these hormones that part of us. If there is no good extraction of the different hormones in your brain, hundreds and even thousands of hormones, it's not healthy, because your lifestyle is not really healthy. It will always affect your mental health. Thirdly, if the environment will not offer the support that you need, meaning you experience a lot of you miss a lot of stepping stones in your stages of development, during the states of development of intimacy, during the 20s and 30s, and during the 40s, the midlife, the transition during midlife, especially during transition of midlife, you will suffer a lot. Unless you humble down yourself, you accept, really try for healing, and accept all those experiences, and accept that you need help, then you will be helped. But if you just try to avoid all those pains in life and have this maladaptive behavior, like using substance abuse, having parties all the time, you don't have a periodic reflection of yourself, then for sure you will experience self-crisis during the time of especially midlife transition. So these are the things that we really have to hurdle day by day, how to be aware of where we are at the moment. Are we happy the life that we are experiencing? But for me, it's not about so much happiness, but the feeling that you are doing what is meaningful, meaning making. We really have to learn to adapt the reality, the meaning making, so that your life, your activities are soulful. And for me, that's the very secret. Not so much with technicalities, because our soul is very fluid that you cannot measure it like linear. This is the next development. No, we have to listen first to our body. How do we feel? We have to listen first, then our environment, what's going on. Then that's the time you discern. We call it discern because discernment is a process to choose between two goods. But what is more valuable at the moment? Then you choose that one. If you have that periodic reflection, you learn the ability to discern. We call it discernment. Like today, I really discern. But I expressed my husband, I hate being late. I said to him, but he knows that I already expressed. After that, no more.
Question
Thank
po.
you very
There's
much.
a question from,
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dina,
Thank you,
and thanks, Esther.
Ma'am.
Okay, a question from Judy Lee Lumod. Good morning. Question to Ma'am Dina. Have you checked the status of the family relationship of all suicidals? Many Boholanos are victims of poverty, but not everyone have thought of committing suicide. So is poverty a reason to commit suicide, or are there many other factors as well?
Many. But the some of the root cause really poverty, followed by the relationship, because they don't have money, they quarrel and all this. So that's why they aspire their goal really to study to become rich to help the family. So that's really the whole common issues. Go back to your question. Have I chatted or connect or engaged with the family? When I notice that someone is really suicidal, the very first thing I have to identify first whether the stressors are. If the family or the parents are the stressors, before I engage into education, I really have to listen first. Really have to recognize whether the source of the stress coming from the parents themselves or within the family. I have to deal first with the student, with the individual rather, not only our students. So if I could sense I can afford to talk with the parents and they are ready to listen, maybe that's the time I really have to engage. But most of the time, I really engage with parents to inform them, to educate them. Because there was this experience, the teacher rushed to me to refer someone, was about to hang herself. Mom, please, we'll run. So in a matter of 15 minutes, we rushed to the mountain because it's a mountainous. We arrived there. I do a lot of home visitation, cases like this. When I arrived, that student already walking, going to the tree where she wants to hang herself. Hi, where are you, Mom? And she was so shocked, but she knows me that I'm a counselor. Mom, and so I conducted the counseling session under the tree. And then after the session, I proceeded to the mother. I informed the impact of the emotions of the child, and then what would be the result if that is always the case. The mother cried so much because the very source of their conflict is really poverty, money, and then that resulted to marital relationship, dysfunctional marital relationship. And our students almost every day witness this kind of experience, and she feels fed up, especially there is a bullying issue. So I have to deal different issues one at a time, and then we have to see it and deal with it, she herself, one at a time. The mother cried so much. She did not realize that is the effect to her daughter. And it takes really an awareness first. So I always tell, giving an awareness and education really, really takes time because it starts from the nucleus, which is the family, and then the individual herself. So right now, that student is so happy and then part of the organization. But just last April, she again was having that suicidal thoughts because that's always will always recur because she still needs to improve her coping skills, the emotion regulation. Mom, sorry, mom. I was already thinking last night to also kill myself because my mother is no longer here. I feel so alone. So just contact me. So we had a good talk, only chat, and then she was so happy. So what we need really is really support, especially this COVID-19. And she's so secure anytime she feels she wanted to talk to someone like her mother, perhaps. She will just chat me. If I could see a question mark, I will always connect. What happened? How are you? Mom, blah, blah, blah. I have this. So support group in order to communicate what happened to you inside is really imperative in order to cope up.
Yes, I have two questions here and one is an insight. So we have 4 minutes to go about this forum right now, Miss Dina. Let me just ask you this. This is from Irma Barlan. I think Irma is from Rome, right? Is she in Rome or Manila?
She's from New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay. So question, since I communicate with my parents at least 3 times a week, I always ask how are they doing? 3 parents said that they need food. So what I did was to search for food pantries and soup chicken available near their area in Far Rockaway. This is here in New York, including the time and days that the pantries are available. The families were very thankful. I shared the info to the other parents so that in case they need to do it themselves as well. Oh, this is a sharing experience. Thank you so much. So question.
Yes.
How can someone's negative mind setting be changed if he or she does not know God? How to possibly comfort him or her, especially young people? And there's also an insight here that says in Italy, there are many cases, but generally among the youth who have lost hope for the future. They don't believe in the value of life, hence the high cases of suicide. So may we ask your opinion on this, Ms. Dina?
Our brain, our wired brain is always introduced with negative thinking because that's an environment also introduced. We are affected by environment, the intrinsic and extrinsic realities in life. How to avoid these negative thoughts, overthinking? There is a new trend this time. We heard with mindfulness.
Yeah.
Yes, the mindfulness exercise.
I heard of it. Yeah.
Yes. Mindfulness will always start off being aware of your state, especially your senses. Start with your sense of sight, sense of taste, sense of smell, and your sensation. When I have my client counseling, like if severe anxiety, we always do the exercise, and I teach them the skills how to do that, and it helps them a lot. So negative thoughts like will lead to overthinking. Overthinking will lead to depression because overthinking will always offer negative all about you. Concept of negative self-concept will always lead to that. Because you are unproductive. What is the production? Is the cognition process, but negative production. And maybe because we cannot blame the person that's part of the hormonal problem, according to psychiatrists. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I always hear a lot, I study a lot about it. Yeah, that's it. So, please discover of yourself because we have a rich, in Tagalog we call it malawak. We have a very rich being who we are. We have to discover, focus with gratitude. Please make a journal gratitude. But we cannot introduce yet if your self-concept still very, very negative. Because the more you feel guilty about yourself. Slowly adapt the mindfulness exercise. Maybe I can introduce soon I'll send to you and send it to your friends. Technicalities of mindfulness, so that that exercise, like the water dropping in the ground, and then the place where the water drops will form like a stone soon, or break the stone, whatever the process of water process, and then slowly you will undo the overthinking due to mindfulness exercise, because the principle is total awareness. Because if you are not fully aware of your own dynamics, you are tempted to think that you are really bad, and then hopelessness will visit you, will come to your life, and you cannot see other positive things in your life that you are grateful for. So meaning, once you are done the exercise, about 21 days or a month of mindfulness exercise, then proceed with gratitude, journaling your gratitude, like as we start the day, as we end the day. Other than you make your goal setting, it's very important that you really have your goal, because if those people who always do overthinking, they don't have goals in life, because they are overwhelmed with negativity. Because when you have the negativity in your mind and your whole fiber of your being, the universe will also respond to your negativity. There is what we call the law of attraction. If you think of negative, the universe will give back the negative. If you think of the positive, the universe will give you back, because your feelings, your emotions will create your future. We have to remind ourselves, your feelings and your emotions will create your emotion, because your attitude will determine what we call the altitude. So we have to create the habit. Habit forming first, the mindfulness that will lead to a better and a deep awareness, a greater awareness that will lead to another, what we call our gratitude attitude.
Awesome. Thank you very much for this time you have given us, Ms. Dina. And I think that's just about it for our questions. Thank you so much. And there's one suggestion here: conducting a seminar to strengthen the support system for the youth. That is very good. That could be a follow-up activity, which Arceli would love to do. So we are 2 minutes to closing. I'd like to ask my dear twin, Merle and Arceli, to say their parting shots for our first episode this evening.
Okay. Arceli first.
There she is.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Dina, for your time. I know how busy you are, and yet you really spared your precious time with us. And I believe all of us agree that it was such a very enriching talk of Ma'am Dina. Do you agree?
Yes.
Can we give her a round of applause for that?
Yes.
Yes. Very informative.
Thank
Sorry,
you, ma'am.
Much as we want to have her for a longer time, so we would be learning more. So more probably we will be inviting you in our next, in the future sessions. So thank you, ma'am. And to the audience, Esther and the others who reacted, thank you so much for your interest. And that is actually fueling us to do more of this kind. Right, Marivir and Miss Merle?
Definitely.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us. This is such a very nice episode. For a
Okay, let's hear it from Merle. Thanks, Arceli.
Okay, thank you, Dina. Thank you so much. It was really enriching, and I'm sure every one of us here, we want to hear more. I want to encourage everyone that when we share and we reach out to each other when we have difficulties, think of us, think of your friends here. We are sisters, we are one family. And then when we have difficulties, we can always have this room here in the women's world where we live for others, think of others, and then we love and we connect. That's how we can be happy and productive and balanced life. And so this world where COVID has brought us, even when the world out there, our borders are closing, our leaders are thinking of just closing the doors of the country, we women have the capacity to shine and be mothers and sisters. And when we reach our hands together, as Mother Moon always says, the founder of the Women's Federation for World Peace, we should be one family. We live together as sisters and one family and help each other. So I want to thank everyone. And I don't know, is there any way, Mark Dale, our technical, I want to see everyone who's here and say hi. And
Yeah, we can see it in the gallery, Twin.
hello,
So
everyone.
thank you so much to our guests. Can we?
Hello. 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 Hello.